If there was an unexpected player that won the MVP in 2026 that was outside of the top odds to win the MVP for this upcoming year, who would that be? I've got two quarterbacks that I think that we should be paying attention to have huge years in 2026. Let's dive in. The one guy who I want to lead this discussion with, and the one quarterback who I think is a really strong case to be the long shot MVP winner this year, is Caleb Williams at plus 1,500 odds. Caleb Williams has the perfect case to be made for him to potentially win this award. First of all, he ended up performing very well. It was a bit inconsistent in spurts, and it took a little bit more towards the end of the year for him to catch his stride. But that sample of the way that he played in the playoffs, and at the very end of the year to help the Bears get back to the playoffs despite everybody's expectations that they would not get there, he performed at a high level. He was 13th in total EPA. He was 12th in passing EPA. So he has the growth. He has shown that he has gotten better. He's going into his third year, a former first overall pick with unreal skills, a powerful arm, the best improviser in the NFL. The second big reason to buy into him is the fact that it's year two with Ben Johnson. One of the things that's really been quite compelling for me this whole offseason, a lot of shows, other podcasts that I've listened to, articles that I've read, the one guy who keeps getting brought up as the next great coach in the NFL is Ben Johnson. There is this recognition, and that's not just media members saying that. It is media members parroting what people in the NFL, other coaches, established coaches, are saying to them. Ben Johnson took a dead Bears offense, a non-existent one, and turned it into a potent one, an explosive one, a unique one. He has one of the most cracked, unique abilities to produce big plays, especially on the ground, and to do it diversely. It feels like at the end of the year, Ben Johnson really figured out what he needed to do to activate Caleb Williams and to activate all the pieces in this offense. The pieces and the weaponry available to Caleb Williams and also to Ben Johnson to orchestrate this whole thing feels like it is the right environment for a leap off of what was a solid year a year ago. Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are going to be in their second years in the system and in the NFL. Colston Loveland was another guy who really burst down the stretch, really popped, showed that he can be a top 5 tight end in the league because he is a rare athlete. He can stretch defenses. He can really stress them. And Luther Burden, more athletically gifted than Amon-Ra St. Brown, really started to show that he can be that compact, win after the catch, gadget dude for this Bears offense, just like Ben Johnson had with Amon-Ra St. Brown when he was in Detroit. The increased chemistry of having all of this time to build up after getting way further than they were supposed to a year ago is setting the table for Caleb Williams to have a memorable year. But my biggest and final reason why I would put a ticket in for Caleb Williams to win the MVP at plus 1,500 odds this upcoming year. For anyone who watched college football and watched Caleb Williams, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I hated watching Caleb Williams. I saw him in person when Caleb Williams played Notre Dame, and he embarrassed Notre Dame. Caleb Williams constantly produced plays that weren't supposed to be possible. His ability to scramble, drift in the pocket when you're not supposed to, and still find a way to create a huge throw, a touchdown that was improbable, scattered across his college career. Even when he was at Oklahoma, those plays are ingrained in the minds of college football fans that saw him. And he started to finally do that with the Bears last year. I think back to one particular play that really serves as most of my evidence for this entire discussion. The touchdown that he threw to Cole Kmet in the back of the end zone against the Rams. It was the total typical Caleb Williams play. Drift back, swirl around, everybody's freaking out. You're thinking to yourself, oh, this is going to get picked off. What is he doing? He's going to get sacked. He's just going to throw the ball away. He's going to get something. This isn't going to work. And then you see the ball go in the air. It zips into the air when he's got no base, and it's caught in the back of the end zone. The fact that he is able to now create those plays, those moments are showing up. I feel like we're going to get a season full of those plays. I feel like we're going to get a year where he's going to do it often. Win games in clutch moments. And instead of falling short like he did against the Rams, I think is now an opportunity for him to get the job done in year 3 in the league. It comes down to the MVP. It's not as much like the Heisman, but memorable moments sometimes define a quarterback winning an award. And if the stats are gaudy because he's playing in an offense that is built around him with a genius of an offensive coordinator, Caleb Williams can 1,000% win the award. And I'll be honest, I know I'm talking long shots, but I actually really think that Caleb Williams would be just my direct pick. I love the idea of what Caleb Williams brings to the table this upcoming year, and I think he's going to shock so many people, especially anybody who has been doubting him since he entered the league. Now, the next is a super long shot, and I know that this guy is going to get a ton of criticism by people that don't like this pick. I want to make the case for CJ Stroud at plus 5,000 odds. Look, I get it. Anybody who watched the NFL playoffs, watched the end of the season. It wasn't easy watching CJ Stroud. It was rough. It was a hard watch trying to watch CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was getting his ass kicked. And I think that it was so misdefined what was going wrong with the Texans. Everybody was saying that CJ Stroud is cooked. He can't play. He's regressed. He's gotten worse. Nobody wanted to analyze his performance when things were built well around him, when he had protection, when his offense was healthy. Nobody wanted to contextualize the hell that he was going through, having arguably the worst offensive line, at least a bottom 5 offensive line in the league. He did not have the help that he needed. And I've said this before on this channel. When a team recognizes their issues and they aggressively pursue fixing them, I'm going to buy into that team. They did not go about fixing their offensive line and changing their identity half-heartedly. They did not throw duct tape at this. They had the most improved offensive line in my eyes this offseason. Sign Wyatt Teller, reliable veteran. Sign Braden Smith, reliable veteran. Drafted Keelan Rutledge, high-floor interior offensive line prospect to likely play center. You brought in 3 key pieces. And the most underrated part about this is they brought in David Montgomery, too, who's going to take a lot of pressure off for CJ Stroud's shoulders. CJ Stroud also has an underrated wide receiver room with Nico Collins, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, and Tank Dell coming back from his serious knee injury. To paint the picture that CJ Stroud still played well despite everybody's belief that he was terrible, he still finished 12th in total EPA among quarterbacks and 13th in passing EPA. If he was as bad as everybody talked about, and those playoff performances were how he played all year long, he'd be in the bottom of the NFL. For him to finish in the middle of the pack, this is what I want everybody to understand, why I don't think that this is so absurd to suggest that Stroud could at least finish as a finalist. To finish above average, to go above average in those categories, despite having an atrocious, awful, terrible offensive line, proves the point that Stroud was making the best of what he had. I think that at the bare minimum, Stroud is going to get improved so much off of the year that he had last year, and he is going to get back into that upper category of quarterbacks, young, up-and-coming quarterbacks in the NFL. We will see what happens, folks. I need you to do me a favor. Comment below. Which quarterback, which player are you taking to win the MVP this upcoming year? That is a long shot. Hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We'll talk to you later.